school bus. I don't know what he's done with it, but I was talking buses with the Sikh. I said, yeah, do it! Get on that bus, you know, and take kirtan around. Go to festivals. You know, you don't have to do it full time, but use it for festivals, kirtan festivals, things like that.
Yeah.
You can make it into a really nice display and
Print and cook the song.
yeah. I mean, it'd be a great little program.
Wow.
He also offered that bus to us too.
1970s revisited.
What?
Wow.
We do it again.
The new Braj Damodar party.
Yeah, I
We
can.
should have some comparative photos of you then and now, and of the devotees.
Maharaj, he wants to give it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. He'll give it to anybody. Like I said, he offered it to New Braj, he offered it to Rasik. Rasik apparently denied it. But you maybe that could be your mobile vehicle. You can
Oh,
get a
man,
few
I
young
ain't driving.
recruits.
I used to drive this big old school bus around in Brooklyn.
It's only 24 feet, not a big old one. It's not a 40-footer.
Oh.
It's a short, it's
Oh,
a
that's like a
mid-size.
motorhome.
Oh, because I drove the big one in the city
Yeah.
to Hunts Point, food market, to the Brooklyn food market out on Harinam, you know, everywhere. And then we had the big buses, the big gray
We
buses.
should make a video of you and Braj and anybody else, but of you telling the story. Did anyone ever record you telling the story?
Vyasaki
of
wrote a
those
book about
days?
Vishnu John.
No, that's different. I'm talking about your own Radha Damodar bus experience, those times,
Tamal wrote a
all
book,
the adventures.
I think.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
but that was
Tamal.
very jaded. That was kind of jaded a little bit. Made it look romantically. There was some realities that we had to deal with. It was difficult.
No, I'm just talking about your personal story. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, nobody ever recorded you for that. And your memories of Prabhupada or anything like that?
I never offered my memories of Prabhupada.
Right.
They keep trying to get them, and I won't give them.
Oh, I see. But you know, this would be great.
I didn't do it for Gurudev either,
Yeah,
you know, and I did a little bit.
yeah,
When I'm approached personally in the right environment,
yes.
and I do it, but just, you know,
Has to be the right interviewer, the whole thing.
yeah,
I
you know,
know.
and the right format, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and confidence that they're not gonna edit it, and anyway, you know, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
That's just me, yeah, it's
Me
my
too.
box,
Me
it's
too.
my camphor,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I can keep it in a box.
And your peppercorns.
Yeah.
What time do we go to?
7 March, we can go to 7.
So you want to have this scheduled now?
I think that would be a little
Because it
bit
seems
more.
it's more difficult to start at 5 with the kirtan.
Yeah.
So then you go till like 1:45. Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that work? That'd be
Yeah.
especially
I
good.
just yeah.
Yeah.
What time of kirtan stuff?
5:15.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bhangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Trishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suje Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Angashyamali Machata Viravito Mandi Kritendi Varam Jadyam Jagudarocha Samvidadatam Pattam Varasya Shriya Vrindaranya Nivasanam Hridila Saddamabhir Amodaram Radha Skanda Niveshito Julabhujam Dhyayim Damodaram Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshay Kshiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Brindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams to the lotus feet of all of my Shri Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And my Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavas.
Oi! I'm sending a message out to India and everybody of my new schedule.
So, we're reading Srila Gurudev's Braj Mandal Parikrama book, and the section that we were reading, the last section, was, wait a second, where was that?
The borders of Braj. The borders of Braj.
The borders of Braj. How to observe Braj Mandala Parikrama.
We missed lunch today. We had pizzas and lasagna and minestrone.
I know, I
soup.
heard all about it. Why didn't you save me some? I'm not going to give you the peppers I brought.
Everybody's wanted.
Withholding your fix, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Nah, we didn't cook yet. Haven't been able to shop, everyone's too busy.
We got you covered,
Okay.
partially.
All right, well,
There was a section, I'm trying to find that, Vishram Ghat.
Oh, yeah, well,
Where was
we read
that?
from the.
That was one of the
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because we ended up reading from the, Arjan Deepika, all the actual vows.
Just texted it.
The actual, I never read that before. You know how we're standing there and
yeah.
doing the
Right,
Braj?
some couples and all.
That's right, yeah, and I didn't know that. But
That's all in Archana Deepika?
it's all there. It has the actual Sanskrit that
Yeah.
everybody repeated it responsibly. You know? Then after that, it has the synonyms of each thing, and then after that, it has the full English thing. Now you have to add because it's the time, the place, your name, you know, all of that. So, well, that was very interesting, wasn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
We got an audience.
Jai Ho.
Jai ho, ki jai ho.
Jai Ho. Welcome, Bangaloreans.
Nityananda and Vrindavan. We got Vrindavan Chandra and
Oh, who's there in New York?
yeah, we got New York, we got India, we got
Oh.
Bangalore,
It's 9
Vrindavan.
o'clock out there in New York.
New York,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we were reading how to observe Braj Mandala Parikrama. That's the section. And then when we began to read about the vow at Vishram Ghat, then all of a sudden he said, well, we actually have that vow. So we've read that. Now, I'll just read this little section. Before starting Braj Mandala Parikrama, one should take a vow, a sankalpa, at Vishram Ghat in Mathura. This vow should be made through the medium of a Vaishnava devoted to bhajan. Now here's a list of whom, through the medium of whom, you can take this vow. It should be made through the medium of a Vaishnava devoted to bhajan, any devotee, Tirtha Guru or Brajvasi priest, who is simple-hearted, learned in the scriptures and philosophical principles, virtuous, merciful, non-envious, and non-avaricious. So when the vow is taken, then parikrama may begin. Now the rules for the Braj Mandala Parikrama. While performing parikrama, one should, as far as possible, observe certain positive and negative injunctions. The positive injunctions are as follows. To speak the truth for a whole month. This is for the whole month. To speak the truth. And if you don't speak the truth, what happens? Your vow is broken, right? Next one, to observe celibacy. Next one, to sleep on the ground. But that's been modified by Gurudev's parikrama, hasn't it?
Is this for the whole month of Kartik?
Yeah. Then another, to forgive the offenses of others. To take bath in the holy rivers or ponds. To do achman. To accept only prasad offered to the Supreme Lord. And to perform Harinam Kirtan on Tulsi beads, or perform Harinam Sankirtan in the assembly of Vaishnavas. One should perform the parikrama by properly respecting and worshipping the Brahmins, deities, sacred places, and the Supreme Lord's pastime places encountered during the course of the parikrama. So, worshipping the Brahmanas, I remember how Srila Gurudev had particular priests, pandas, who would come. One would come in Mathura, and then another one would come in Vrindavan. They were very elderly. I think they both passed away at this point in time. But there was a tradition, I mean, and also when we go to Govardhan, there was a certain Govardhan Panda
Yeah.
and Varshana Pandas, you know.
Hondas everywhere.
Yeah. But Gurudev,
Nandagan, Panda,
which one?
Nandagan,
Nandagan.
dancing guy.
And then
Yeah.
Do you know that he left his body? Yeah, that was sad. He was so.
Gurudev would also then always encourage everyone to give a donation to
That's
the
right.
Panda. At
Yes.
the end, it was very nice and sweet.
And he would put some
Right.
shiny shawl,
Yeah.
you know, and he would worship the Brahmins and the Pandas before. So traditional, it was so sweet. So,
Big bag,
hmm?
big bag of rupees.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
Yeah.
hold it.
But you know, after that Panda from Vrindavan left his body, then his son took over. And there was quite a difference. You could also tell kind of like Gurudev was more official, collecting the donation, giving it to him. Because there was some degree of, you know, expectation. You know. So, but with the older one, Gurudev had that relationship. And actually, I remember, you know, the first time that I went somewhere in Braj with Gurudev was when I visited in 1988, when I brought that donation from Pran Kishore. And we went to Govardhan and to Radhakund. And in Govardhan, the elder Panda, who was the father of the current one, and actually the current one is named Giridhari Panda. And you cannot avoid seeing him when you come to Govardhan. Especially if you go to Hari Dev and Manasi Ganga to pray for, you know, permission to do the parikrama. He's always there somewhere. Kind of big body, remember that one? Yeah. But on that time then Gurudev actually met the elder one. And that one was there by his side, the current one. He was much younger than.
So, Maharaj,
Yeah.
one thing you were saying in there,
Yeah.
one of the rules, injunctions are like either chant your japa or do Harinam Sankirtan.
Yeah.
Now remember when we were on Parikram, how Gurudev, if he saw anybody like chanting on their beads, he would chastise them.
Yeah.
And he would say, oh, if I catch you chanting on your beads, I will snatch them. I will snatch everyone's beads. I want everyone doing kirtan,
Yes.
like when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He went everywhere chanting and dancing.
I even remember that, you know, because we were so engaged during that time.
Right.
And Gurudev was also telling them, to us, sometimes he says, your priority is kirtan. And even if you can't complete your rounds, I'm doing them for you. Remember? He wanted that. Yeah, kirtan. Okay, now coming to the negative injunctions. It is prohibited to become angry or to commit any violence toward trees, creepers, small shrubs, cows, and so forth along the parikrama path.
So Radha must be forgiven. He's not allowed to be angry.
Next, to dishonor Brahmins, Vaishnavas, and so on. To disrespect the deities. To use soap and oil. To shave. To kill ants and other living entities. To involve oneself in disputes. And to criticize others. You know? Requires a lot, huh?
Saying don't use soap or oil, like don't take bath with soap.
Yeah.
I think maybe that one is like not
Well,
so strict.
you know, a lot of things have been adjusted, but certain things have to be there.
Understand when it was written and for whom.
Yeah.
This is being derived probably from Holy Bhakti Vilas. These kinds
Probably.
of constructions.
Yeah, yeah,
And the kind of mendicants during Parikram at that time,
yeah,
were living very simply.
yeah, very
And just
austere,
completely absorbed in bhajan and Parikram.
right, yeah,
And so nothing to get in the way or to think
Yeah.
about. other
There
than
were so
those
many
things.
devotees together, if nobody was using soap, it was just like being able to tolerate the smell.
Well, in those days when they just took bath in the river like this, sometimes they just used the mud. Because the mud is also cleansing, So, but, yeah, use soap and oil. To shave, that was one that Srila Gurudev kind of would say to a lot of the Western devotees, why are you not shaving? To like household devotees, Oh, Gurudev, because I want to, observe Kartik, Braj and all that. Okay. But he didn't take that so seriously, But Gurudev was always very strict with the sannyasis, particularly in shaving. I remember when our brahmachari,
And brahmachari.
but there's a story when, what was his previous name? Our young Vishnu Maharaj, Jiva Priya. Yeah, he was doing book distribution in America, in Florida actually, and he had a couple other brahmacharis with him. Probably this was back in 2005, 6. Gurudev was also in Florida. And then he asked Gurudev, because, how Prabhupada adjusted it completely. Prabhupada adjusted, and in fact he kind of like turned it the opposite. You have to shave, But in this case, he was asking Gurudev if it would be okay because of kind of social norms and looking a certain way, if the brahmacharis could shave instead of growing the beard for a month, like sannyasi. And then Gurudev, he gave his permission for the brahmacharis to shave, but he specified, he says, but not the sannyasis. So that's a little bit more strict. But even that's been adjusted. And even like we were talking, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur adjusted so many things during that time as well, isn't it? Riding in a vehicle. The ancient strictures that a sannyasi should always walk barefoot and never ride in a conveyance.
Fine cloth.
And what?
Fine cloth.
Yeah, not even any cloth that is stitched or sewn.
Also,
Yeah.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada got pictures of himself taken with this Kartik.
But that, yeah,
Just to show
that's true.
that that shouldn't shave during Kartik. So certain things were kept, but other
Yes.
adjustments were made for preaching. But
That's right.
Kartik, so many things were strict. The few things we've mentioned are just kind of incidentals, like not using soap or something. But the concept of anger and so many things like that would never be adjusted.
Yeah.
Not normally.
So, Prabhupada's adjustment of the shaving thing, this was necessary at that time period. And for introducing brand new non-devotee persons into the family, because it was just, anybody was full bearded or long haired.
Hippies.
There was the hippie era and all of that. And Prabhupada had to stand up with the devotees in that situation at that time especially, and also teach Brahminical principles of cleanliness and everything else. So Prabhupada himself chose also, even you see in his photos, he was shaving himself in that time period, before the movement even began, when he was there in America. He never went unshaven. You don't see practically any photos of Prabhupada being unshaven. And I remember one devotee, maybe it was Bhagwat or Maharaj, or one devotee in India, a Western devotee, came to Calcutta. And, his hair had grown out a bit, and also the beard was starting to grow out, And when Prabhupada saw that devotee, he chastised him. Why are you shaving? Why are you not shaving? Right? And then he chastised him. He said, Shave, you must shave. These are hippie seeds. Ever heard the hippie seed quote? Yeah.
He gave the reason of Chaturmukhi.
The devotee did. Oh yeah.
Wow.
He said, well, we're following Chaturmukhi. We said,
Do
no.
you remember who the devotee was?
Yeah, you said it. I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
These are your hippie seeds.
that's right. These are your hippie seeds.
And he's right.
Is correct. Absolutely.
Remember when we used to do Sankirtan and you started wearing wigs?
Yeah, that's another.
Oh my God.
And I remember sometimes, the very first time we went out, the only wigs we had was from the, I was just like Kunta Player. It's
Yeah.
like, one of these. You know?
Long-haired
Yeah.
hippie wig. Right.
Yeah.
And jeans and like,
Yeah, and
they
we
would
went
dress
to the
that way.
mall and I remember kind of enjoying being that.
All the book distributors look like hairdressers.
Yeah, but when Prabhupada, see, because there was that time period when the book distribution was just starting and it was shifting over from practically full-time Harinam Sankirtan, right? And it was shifting over to, and then the devotees were experimenting and they were going to public places, and that's when they first started to use the wigs. And they wrote to Prabhupada about this. But others were also writing to Prabhupada about and reporting what kind of wigs, what kind of clothing. So then Prabhupada narrowed that down and he said, you should look like a respectable businessman, like a gentleman. And then the devotees started to wear like normal haired type wigs. And also in the airports and other places, they would dress with not a suit, but they would dress with like a dress shirt with a tie. It began like that. So Prabhupada wanted clean cut. Yeah. Anyway, to end the discussion about the shaving, we were with Gurudev in Malaysia, and our ex-former Giri Maharaj had just taken sannyas at that time, Dao Dayal, and we were on a morning walk in a park with Gurudev, and he shaved, he was shaven, and his hair was not shaven. And then,
Just his face.
yeah, just his face was shaven. And, it was probably like 2 weeks into the month, so most of us, we just had some growth by that time. And then Gurudev zeroed in on him and chastised him very heavily. He said, why you have shaven? And he said, Gurudev, for preaching. What preaching you are doing?
Oh my God.
You know what preaching is? Preaching, you bring men and money to me, your guru. That's preaching. How much preaching have you done? Huh? And then there was a few of us like Nami Maharaj, myself, and a couple of others. He said, you think your preaching is as good as them? So he pounded it. But anyway, whatever guru does, whatever chastisement he gives, it's all auspicious, it's all purifying, and it's also not necessarily meant only for that person, I've been chastised publicly by Gurudev many times, and especially in the beginning, when Gurudev would be training us what to speak, as we're traveling along with him. That was a grueling period because you're always on edge. What does Gurudev want me to say? Because we didn't quite know yet, for the different topics and the different stories of Bhagavatam and all of that. So the first couple of years,
And even then, sometimes you'd answer like had been answered before.
Yeah.
No, not like that.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Yeah,
You
sit
don't
down. Yeah. I remember it was one specific time we were in Malaysia again, and it was Lord Nityananda's appearance day. And the room was packed in that house of, what's their names?
Dr.
Not Param, but
the one
Vijay and his brother Bala.
Oh,
Gurudev was at Bala's house,
wow.
And there were many Indian people had come, they opened up the whole veranda, and then there was, so many devotees were there, so many. And so I was expecting he's going to call on me, and I trying to study a little bit, and then Gurudev called on me, and I stood up, and I forget which section of the discussion of Lord Nityananda, maybe I was even trying to tell the pastime of Jagai Madhai, something like that. but almost every minute, Gurudev was stopping me. What did you say? No, that is not correct. You know? And it was going on, and I'm standing there for like 15, 20 minutes, you know? And what are the devotees doing in the audience? What they're doing now? They're all chuckling, you know? They're all chuckling, and like, finally, Gurudev said, sit down. You know, you speak, you know? And when I sat down, all the devotees, and they said, wow, you did it. You lasted. It's like being in the boxing ring and getting hit again and again. You didn't go down yet. So anyway, all these training pastimes from Gurudev. So now, in this section comes the timing of the parikrama, the timing. And that's a little interesting because some Gaudiya mats, they start on Ekadashi day. But in our line of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, they decided to start on the full moon day. I don't know exactly why.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know what the difference is.
Well, maybe something is told here. So, Gaudiya Vaishnavas follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own journey through Vraja. And hence, some people start their parikrama after Vijaya Dashami in the month of Ashwin, October to November in autumn. This is because, according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Mahaprabhu arrived from Nilachala Dham, Jagannath Puri, at this time to have darshan of Brajmandala. Other Gaudiya Vaishnavas start their parikrama and their Kartik Vrat Niyama Seva on the Ekadasi of the bright fortnight in the month of Ashvin, and they complete their vow on Devotan Ekadasi of the bright fortnight in the month of Kartik. Most Gaudiya Vaishnavas, however, make their vow for both Kartik Niyamaseva or Urjavrata and Brajmandal Parikrama on the Sharadiya Purnima. And the Sharadiya Purnima is the first day of Kartik on our Vaishnav calendar, also disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. So they then complete the Kartik Vrat and the Vrajmandala Parikrama after Devotan Ekadasi on Kartik Purnima. And those last 5 days from that Ekadasi to the Purnima are also a special time. Remember what it's called? Yes, Bhishma Panchaka. And so there are 5 days which Gurudev would tell are very powerful, the most powerful days. Even if someone could not be there for the parikrama, they could not follow all the Kartik Vrats and everything, but if they come and they follow for those 5 days, they get tremendous benefit, Gurudev told. The Vaishnavas of the Nimbarka Sampradaya, they start Vrajmandala Parikrama on the Dashami after Sri Krishna Janmastami. I didn't know that. They're very hot in Vrindavan at that time, right after Krishna Janmastami. And they complete their parikrama in 1.5 months. The Vaishnavas of Pushti Marg, the Ballabha Sampradaya, start their parikrama on the Dashami or the Ekadasi after Sri Radhastami. And they complete it in approximately 2 months. So now the next section is titled The Places Visited on Brajmandala Parikrama. Pilgrims on Vrajmandala Parikrama have darshan of the pastime places of Vrajmandala in the order given below. Some places appear more than once in this list because there are often alternative routes to get from one place to another. So Brajmandala Parikrama begins in Sri Mathura. And after having darshan of this city, the pilgrims visit the forests of Madhuvan, Talvan, and Kumudvan. Remember how we were saying yesterday? That's the first place that we go out on the buses. But this is actually the very first place that they even go. So then they proceed to Shantanakunda, Gandeshwara, Bahulavan, Ral, Magera, Jaita, Shakatikara or Chatikara, called nowadays, and Gurud Govinda. And from Gurud Govinda, one can go to Bahulavan if one has not already done so. Pilgrims then visit Maro Datiha, which is called Datia now, Adiga, Madhuri Kunda, Jakin Gaon, Tosha, Janati, Vasati, Mukarai, Sri Radhakund, and Sri Shyamakund. Then after this, pilgrims make their way to Kushama Sarovara, Narada Kunda, Gwala Pushkarani, Jugal Kunda, Kilola Kunda, Manasi Ganga, the town of Govardhan, Indra Dvaja Vedi, and Jamunavati. From there, one proceeds to Parashauli, Paita Gaon, and Bacha Gaon, that's also called Vatsavan, and then to Anayor Gaon, Gauri Kunda, Shankarshan Kunda, Govinda Kunda, Navala Kunda, Apsara Kunda, Shakra Kunda, Puchari, Shyama Dhaka, Raghava Pandit's cave, Surabhi Kunda, Airavata Kunda, Haraji Kunda, Jatipura, Bilachu Kunda, and Chakreshwar Mahadev. A lot of these names sound familiar? Yeah. So thereafter, one comes to Saki Stali, Neemgaon, Padara, Kunjera, Pali, Deravali, Man Sahara, Surya Kunda, Peraku, Badara, Konai, and Vasati. One can now take darshan of Sri Radhakunda and Govardhan if one has not already done so. Pilgrims then make their way to Javak Kunda, Gulal Kunda, Gantoli, Beheja, Devashirsha, Munishirsha, Paramadana, Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiyo Ki Jai. Yes. Badri Narayan, Guhana, Khon, Alipur, Adi Badri, Pashopa, Kedarnath, Bilonda, Charan Pahari, Bojan Tali, and Kamyavan. Then after Kamyavan, one goes to Vajera, Sunahara Kadamba Kandi, Uchagaon, Sakigiri Parvat, Varshana, Gavarvan, Dabora, Rasoli, Prem Sarovara, Shanket, Ritaura, Maherana, Satvasa, Nandera, Bojan Tali. Everyone remembers Bojan Tali. Why?
Big tally.
Bojan Tali,
It's very Christian.
yeah, well, we take breakfast there, but that's the place where Krishna and the cowherd boys took breakfast. And they have the shapes of like plates
In the rocks.
in the rocks themselves. There's a mandap over that, and these are very ancient. So Gurudev would actually perform puja there and worship those stones that have the plates.
And they would bring mountains of different varieties of prasadam and do like, it would almost
Yeah.
be like a little anakut, and they'd offer
Yeah,
it all.
everybody would be told to bring something
Yes.
along. Yeah.
Different varieties of cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They distribute their like rock candy, the sugar rock candy
Yeah.
with fresh butter.
With fresh butter.
Yeah, very
Right.
nice.
Yeah. Okay. Forgot where I was. Oh, Bojantali, okay. Nunera.
Oh,
Shrink.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
another very important point about that
Mm.
Bojan Stali place
Mm.
that they describe there.
Not Stali. Thali.
Thali.
Like when you order a thali from an Indian.
Right, because of
Yeah,
the bowl.
Bhojan
Okay.
thali.
So that there Krishna would sit with all the cowherd boys, but all the cowherd boys felt like Krishna was right next to them. So many groups all
Yeah.
spread out, but everyone that Krishna was with every group. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like that everywhere, but
Yeah, actually, that particular pastime that's described as Brahma Vimohan Lila, that's in a different section. There's an actual place that we go to in the parikrama when we go to Chirgat, you know, on the Yamuna, that Chirgat where there's the tree
but they stole
and where
the
Krishna
clothes.
stole the
Right.
gopis' clothing and everything. And near to there, if I remember correctly, it's so hard to remember because
It is.
Braj and you get off the buses, maybe a few hundred times during
Right.
that month, and you're in a village, and But where Brahma stole the cowherd boys and the calves is in a different section than this Bhojan Tali. That is different, a different area.
Yes. But isn't it in general like that? Krishna always seemed like he was with all.
Well, yeah, in general,
In general, so that
Yeah.
place there was a place they took for shot. So
yes. Probably it was like that. Yeah. So then, Nunera and Shringaravat. Yeah, so it is near that area. Bichoravan, Vanachari, Hodal, Dahigaon, Lalpur, Kamera, Haravali Sanchuli, Gendo, Nandagaon, Kadam Bater. Oh, Ter Kadam Bater, and Javat. Thereafter, pilgrims visit Dhanashingha, Koshi, Payagaon, Chatravan, Nari Semari, Shanki, Arabadi, Ranavadi, Badavali, Kampur, Umrava, Rahea, Kamai, Karela. I remember that Karela. I think that's the birthplace of one of the Ashtasakis, Karela. Peshai, Ludholi, Anjanok. I remember that one.
Me too.
Anjana.
Yeah.
Right,
We
tell.
go there every year.
Tell.
So that's the place where
Yeah.
the gopis all came running. Krishna played his flute, and they all
Yeah.
came running, and Srimati Radharani came, and because they rushed, she only had the kajal under one eye.
Right.
And then when she came there, then Krishna
Right.
put it on for her. But Krishna was saying, what's going on? You came, you forgot to put it on. So he thought he was like the victor, but they were going, no, we left it off so that you could do it.
Uh-huh. That's with Gurudev's special commentary.
Yes, from Gurudev, Society of the Sakis.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Actually, in Prem Samput,
Mhm.
we mentioned this morning, that, and it's really important to realize, because sometimes we interpret the activities of these exalted eternal associates from our own perspective. And everything we do has some degree of self-centeredness, right? But in praying, it's absolutely devoid of that, and every thought, every motion, every action is only to please Krishna. So even man, anger, whatever they're displaying, forgetfulness, getting to put on the makeup, everything is designed to please Krishna. And Yogamaya helps them. She arranges. And so that what Gurudev says, this is verified. This is verified by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Whenever you read Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you'll find something that Gurudev says, and you might have, wow, where did he get that from? I've never heard that. And no one's ever said that. And then you'll see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He confirms that point very strongly.
Remember how Gurudev told, I feel most close with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Yes, that's true.
And
He said
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is said to be a reincarnation of Srila Rupa Goswami.
You know what he told Vrindavan Vilasini? I went there one time, because I visit her time to time, and I was talking about Gopal Champu. I really enjoy reading the pastimes. She says, I don't read anything anymore but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I said, but this is really good, this is Jiva Goswami. And then she said, yeah, but Gurudev told me, he said, one day you will have to give up even Jiva Goswami and just read Vishwanath Chakravarti. So that's what she does.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. See how many names of different places? We're not finished yet. But so many.
That's what you can see.
And how many do we go to?
So long in Gurudev. We never went. That's why that place Anjano, we didn't. One year we all of a sudden went there and said, wow, we've never been here before.
Yeah.
This is where Radharani sat and Krishna put on her kajal.
Well, in the Parikrama book.
Is that the place where they have the rock
Yeah.
that has that's black? You
Yes.
put water on it, there's rock. There was a little temple and then a kund just beyond that rock.
There's
Like
a
a
spot,
pillar?
that rock maybe, there's a spot where Radharani sat and Krishna put on the kajal.
Because there's one place with a cudgel rock.
Mm.
You put water on it and it's black. When you rub water on it, it's black. I don't know.
Maybe.
You know,
Maybe.
Well, you're asking, you're not
Oh,
sure,
oh.
so I'm saying.
No, I don't know if it's the same place, right?
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were saying maybe that there's a cudgel
Oh,
rock.
no, I believe
No,
that.
yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
of course. So maybe that's Anjano.
well, you know, that town, Anjana,
Anjana.
I remember there's one place where Gurudev would come with us and he'd sit near to some pond and all the devotees, there was like a big long cement veranda. Gurudev would sit up there. Then he'd read from the Parikrama book because near to that area, all the surrounding villages, right, which we don't have time to go to. So he reads the description of each village and there must be at least 40 different villages, one name after another. It's in the book. But in the book, then he tells the pastime that was prominent in that village and why that village's name is named after that particular pastime.
Right.
And Anjanok was one of them.
Right.
Yeah, because Krishna put on Anjana, the eye ointment. So we're getting near to the end here. We're after Kamyavan and Anjanok.
Avadut Maharaj is watching.
Jai Avadut Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai Maharaj.
Anyway, I'm going to just read it. I can't find that place again. So after Kamyavan, one goes to Vajera, Sunahara, Kadambakandi, Uchagaon, Sakigiri Parvat. We read all of that. Yeah. Okay. Nandagaon, Kadambater, Javat. Thereafter, pilgrims visit Dhanasingha, Koshi, Paigaon, Chatravan, Nari Samedi, Shanki, Arabari, Ranavadi, Badavali, Kanpur, Umrao. That's also a place where Srimati Radhika was worshipped as the queen, Umrao. Rahea, Kamai, Karela, Peshai, Ludhauli, Anjanok, Kadirvan. Yeah, it's near Kadirvan. Kadirvan. And Bijavari. One can now also visit Nandagaon if one has not already done so. So that's all in the Nandagaon area. Pilgrims now make their way to Kokilavan. Remember Kokilavan? Yeah, and what was there? That's the place where there was some beautiful Radha and Krishna Leela and a pond there and a temple. What?
Pearls.
The pearl one. Yeah.
But that's a Shani temple. And then
That's
there
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That wasn't there when we first went. 70 years before. Then they installed the Shani deity, and then they got all kinds of money because everyone from all directions started coming there to pay ransom money to Shani Dev. Please don't destroy our peaceful life. Don't give it to Saturn planet. Everybody would come there. It just grew and grew. And then from there, they got so much money, then they started putting in these other demigod temples. And Gurudev, he made his comment about that. Not in such a place, Radha, very high Radha Krishna Leela, that they're installing a demigod, especially to make money like that. So, yeah. So pilgrims now make their way to Kokilavan, Choti Baitan, Bari Baitan, Charan Pahari, Rasauli, Kotvan, Kami, Sheshashai. Right? Sheshashai. Rupanagara, Majhai, Rampur, Ujjani, Kelanvan, Obe, Ramghat, now that Ramghat, where Lord Baladev danced Ras Leela there. Kashrata, Akshayvat. Akshayvat is near to the place of the pastime of stealing the gopis' clothing. Akshayvat. Gopi Ghat, Tapovan, Chirghat, Nandaghat, Bhaya Gaon, and after this they come to Jaitapura, Hajara, Balihara, Bhajana, Jeolai, Shakaroya, Atasha, Devi Atasha, Parakama, Choma, Ajay, Sinhana, Rehana, Pasholi, Baroli, Taroli, and here's the interesting ones. There's a village named A-I, and then there's a village next to that named Say, and there's a village next to that Mai, and Basai. So they all these villages, they all have some connection with the Leelas, and that's how they've been named. Now thereafter, this is the last section here. After going to all these places, one crosses the Yamuna to have darshan of Badravan, Bandirvan, Mata, Belvan, Mansarovara, Ara, Panigaon, Lohavan, Raval, Gadhui, Ayaro, Krishnapur, Bandi, Dauji, Hatora, Brahmandagat, Chintaharanagat, Mahavan, Gokul, Kailo, and Badai Gram. Crossing the Yamuna again, coming back. One comes to Narangabad, Vrindavan with its Batrol, Atalavan, Kyarivan, Viharvan, Gocharanavan, Kalia Damanavan, Gopalavan, Nikunjavan, means Sevakunj, Nidhuvan, Radhavan, Julanvan, Gavarvan, and Papadavan. So, now there's a list here of Brajamandala's 16 banyan trees. First one, on their journey through Vrajmandala, pilgrims may be fortunate enough to have darshan of the following prominent banyan trees, vatas. Banyan tree is called a vat. So first one, guess which one is the first one? In Vrindavan. Vamshivat.
Yeah.
Vamshivat. And then there's a second Vamshivat in where? What you just told. Bandirvan. Bandirvan. Then Shanket Vat, Bandirvat, that's the one in Bandirvan. Yeah. Where the pastime of Radha and Krishna having a play marriage, and Lord Brahma came and became the priest. Then Javat, Shrivat, Jata Jutavat, Jata Jutavat, Kamavat, Manoramavat, Ashavat, Ashokavat, Kalivat, Brahmavat, Rudravat, Sridharavat, and Savitrivat. So those are the 16 banyan trees in Braj. Only seen a few of them. Now the mountains in Braj Mandala. So pilgrims on Braj Mandala Parikrama will visit, or they will pass close by, the following hills or mountains. Mountains are also called Parvats. What is the first one on this list?
Giriraj Govardhan.
Yes. Number 2, Setu Kandara Parvat. That mountain is at Adi Badri Narayan. Do you remember going to that Adi Badri? Very rarely we went there on the Parikrama.
Way out there.
Yes, way out. And it also is cool there.
Much cooler.
It's also cooler there.
You start driving up in a
Yeah,
foothill.
and it kind of feels like you're in the Himalayan mountains. And the pastime was that the Brijbasis, they wanted to go on pilgrimage. And Krishna said, why you have to take so much trouble, go so far? We have right here in Braj Mandala. And then Adi Badri, that became the place. So that's called Setu Kandara Parvat. Then Sangra Shikara Parvat. It's also called Julan Stan. Then Nila Parvat near Shanara Shikara. Then Anandadri Parvat near Shanara Shikara. Then Udyan Parvat, Shankakuta Parvat, Adi Kedaranath Parvat near Kamyavan, Charan Pahari in Kamyavan, Indrasen Parvat, which is a stone slide in Kamyavan. And then Vyomasura Gufa, a cave in Kamyavan. Bojantali, Kamyavan. Vishnu Chinna Pada Parvat, Kamyavan. Lukluki Kandara, Kamyavan.
Way up.
Yeah, you're way up in that spot at Lukluki.
Lukluki.
You're looking down.
Is that the one where the pastime of Krishna reenacting the monkeys and Sri Ram pastimes, and they were jumping. The cowherd boys were also jumping from one place to another. We go up there, and then there's some imprint, stone at the top. Long hill that we have to climb.
Yeah, you have to climb up this giant
Yeah.
stepped area.
Yeah.
Lukluki is actually below.
Below, right.
Yeah.
Isn't Lukluki Kun where
I think
Krishna
Lukluki is where
would
they
go
play
under,
hide and
jump
seek.
in the water,
Yeah.
and the gopis would be there, and Krishna would go under the water, and then he would come up somewhere else and grab the gopis from underneath.
Well, he's done that pastime in a lot of
Yeah.
places.
But it was a kind of a hide and
That's
seek.
true. That's
Yeah.
like a status quo type.
Yeah. I think that's the place where Krishna declared to them, do you know that I was Sri Ram? What do you mean? And they wouldn't believe him. So then he manifested
He called
these
monkeys.
pastimes of the monkeys and all.
They challenged him
Yeah.
Right?
and said, well, if you're wrong, then bring these monkeys under control.
Right,
Build a bridge. You can even build a bridge just across this little ravine.
right.
They
Yeah,
called the monkeys and they did it.
they did it.
And the gopis
Yeah.
pleased as punch and irritated at the same time.
Right. Then the next mountain is Bhajani Shila, which is a musical stone in Kamyavan.
Play it like a drum.
Is it? I don't remember that. But I remember that there is such a musical stone. Makes different sounds in different parts of the stone when you hit it. Next one, Suvarnachala, Sunahara Gaon. Then Charan Pahari in Nandagaon. Then Atora Parvat in Uchagaon, and one other Parvat in Uchagaon, the place of Lalita Devi.
Saki Giri Park.
Yes, and what happened there?
That's where the Krishna got married to Lolita.
Right, play marriage. But
Gandharva,
how did it start?
Huh?
How
They
did
were
it start?
sitting beside each other,
Right,
and the gopis came and they tied
secretly without them knowing.
tied their dhoti and shawl to
That's
pita
right.
bar together, and
Yes.
then, well, once that was done, then they started the marriage song.
Yes, they started to sing the marriage song, and Lalita Devi's looking, and then she suddenly realized what was happening, and she got up and tried to go away, but because she was tied to Krishna, she got stuck there, and then they just made that whole game of marrying Lalita and Krishna.
In that spot, also the rock there,
Yeah,
that's the one that has the kumkum.
Right.
It's like if you put water on it and rub it, just kind of like the other rock. The
Well,
dark
that's
rock.
what they say, but actually the priests there, they put red on
well,
it.
yeah, they do.
Well, of course, but
The other stone is actually,
yeah. But when you rub that, then you get the red.
yeah,
But it's always like that. The pond is probably.
it was a pastime slide. On the top of the hill, there's all more little impressions.
On
Well,
the
the-
top
yeah.
of the hill, it's like, even when we went there in the beginning, it would sparkle. There
Yeah,
were so many jewel-like things, and we saw paintings like Chitrasaki type paintings. We saw footprints, so many things there. Gradually, over the years, we would go there, and rocks would be missing and everything. Gurudev said, "This is really sad because people are coming in there.
And they're taking those rocks.
last time I went, I couldn't find a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
it
not,
was such a beautiful. When you get up on the top of that hill, I remember the first time that in 1996 that Gurudev was standing there.
Mhm.
And they're like with that hill, the Parvat, the sun was coming up behind the hill, and Gurudev was standing right there, and it was like an effulgence was coming from Gurudev. It was so mystical. And then when we went and climbed that hill, you get that long walk like a saddle across that
yeah,
Parvat, and then you come down into Uchagaon,
right.
where Lalita's birthplace, or not birthplace, or where she lived.
And Gurudev would tell everyone, now as you're walking, if you become very fortunate, you may see some rocks with such and such imprints, and everybody's looking like that. So that's Uchagaon. Where are we here? Nandagaon.
Ancient.
Oh yeah, okay. Then Vishnu Parvat in Varshana, Brahma Parvat in Varshana, Nandishwar or Rudra Parvat in Nandagaon. And the final one, number 23, is Choti, means small, Charan Pahari, near to Baitan. So that's the end of this section, which is describing the Braj Mandala Parikrama, how to do the Parikrama, in what order you should go, and so forth. And that completes the first section, that's called the nature of Braj. And then we'll start reading tomorrow the Mathura section of the Braj Mandala Parikrama. It will tell all these different places, the glories of Mathura. We never really went so much on the Mathura Parikrama.
We did the first few years,
Not too many times.
2 or 3 days.
Yeah, we didn't go for the whole Mathura Parikrama.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we went to
In
a
the
lot of
town,
places.
in May,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we would go on the buses, but we went to so many places there.
Yeah.
Matura we do on
Adi
foot.
Varaha,
Yeah, but that's our local.
Yeah, local to the, not,
Yeah,
right, but not so expansive,
right.
Vishwanath. And also to, our, it's the ashram that Gurudev built on the other side. Did you know?
Oh, yeah,
Durvasa.
Durvasa Rishi
Tila.
Ashram.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
so.
That's part of the Mathura Parikrama, yeah. Okay, so now time has come, right? Yes, to do our evening artik. And today we had so many names of these places, but we should not think that this was time wasted, because we're hearing the names of the villages in Braj, named after Krishna's pastimes. And later when we get into the book, in those sections, then they will have a short little description of how that particular village got that name because of such and such a pastime. And now the actual parikrama begins, and guess what? We're following the parikrama of who? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His kirtan, his parikrama was done in this order that were Gurudev presented in the book. So, Shri Braj Mandala Parikrama ki jai, Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.